You do not lose respect when you make one mistake. You lose her respect when she realizes pressure can turn you into a different man. One day you're calm, the next day you're emotional, one day you're focused, next day you're chasing her attention, one day you say, I'm not reacting anymore. Then she pulls back, gives you attitude, changes her tone, takes longer to reply, and suddenly your whole mood depends on what she does next. That's not frame, that's emotional dependence. And this is where most men expose themselves. Because a woman may listen to your words, but she studies your consistency. She watches how easy you are to move. She watches if your confidence disappears when she gets cold. She watches if your purpose collapses when she stops giving you attention. She watches if you are actually solid or if you're acting masculine when everything is going your way. And that's the uncomfortable truth. Most men don't have a masculine frame. They have a temporary personality that changes depending on how a woman treats them that day. That's why she tests you. Not always consciously, not always directly, but emotionally, she's asking one question. Can these men remain solid when I become unpredictable? Because consistency is the core of your masculine frame. Not your muscles, not your money, not your image, not how dominant you sound online. Consistency. Can you stay grounded when she's emotional? Can you stay disciplined when she pulls away? Can you stay focused when temptation shows up? Can you lead yourself when nobody is validating you? That is where masculine energy is tested. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why consistency is what separates a man who gets respected from a man who gets emotionally controlled. Because any man can act strong for a moment. Any man can fake confidence for one conversation. Any man can pretend to be disciplined when people are watching. But consistency exposes who you really are. Your habits, your standards, your reactions, your emotional control, your discipline, your word. That is your real frame. And the man who becomes consistent becomes unshakable. And an unshakable man does not beg for respect. He naturally commands it. Most men think masculinity is loud. They think it's dominance, muscles, money, status, aggression. But the truth, a masculine frame is not built through intensity. It's built through consistency. Any man can act strong for one day. Any man can fake confidence for one conversation. Any man can pretend to be disciplined when people are watching. But consistency exposes who you really are. Your habits, your standards, your reactions, your emotional control, your discipline, and your words. That's where masculine energy is tested. Because women, life, pressure, chaos, adversity are all watching for the same thing. Can these men remain solid over time? Or does he fold emotionally the moment things stop going his way? Think of that for a second. If every time something happens, your so-called masculine frame folds, then there's no frame. There is no frame. A frame is not only there when nothing's happening. Frame, a real frame, is actually present when things don't go your way. And that's what makes you strong and unshakable. Modern men are addicted to temporary motivation. Real masculinity is built on repetition, and the man who becomes consistent becomes dangerous. Masculine frame is your internal foundation. It's the ability to remain centered regardless of what happens around you. When people praise you, when they disrespect you, when women test you, when money disappears, when life becomes uncomfortable, weak men become different people depending on the situation. One day they're motivated, the next day they disappear. One day they're disciplined, the next day they're emotional. One day they're confident, the next day they need validation. That inconsistency destroys respect. Because nobody trusts unstable energy. Not women, not business partners, not friends, not even your own mind. Consistency is what creates trust. And trust is what creates masculine presence. A calm man who remains solid every day is more powerful than an emotional man who occasionally acts dominant. Most men misunderstand female attraction. They think attraction comes from performance, from saying the perfect thing, from impressing her, from acting alpha for a few years. That's totally wrong. Women observe consistency. Can you remain grounded when she becomes emotional? Can you remain disciplined when she pulls away? Can you maintain your purpose when temptation appears? Can you lead yourself without external validation? That's the question. Because feminine energy naturally tests masculinity. Because feminine energy naturally tests masculine stability. Not because women are evil, but because instability in a man creates insecurity. You hear that right? Instability in a man creates insecurity. A woman may challenge your frame emotionally, but what she's really observing is how is this man to move? Can his emotions be controlled externally? Can his mood be manipulated? Can his direction be interrupted? Recently, I was personally tested by a chick that, how can I say this? She saw, or she felt, let's put it that way, she felt that I had a strong masculinity because of an event that happened that even she said that she would have broken down if if she was in my situation. And even so, when she said that, and she actually said, how are you not reacting to what's going on? How do you just remain calm? And I told her, that's just me. But then, even after she said that, she literally proceeded the next day to test me on that frame. She became very emotional, very loud, very, let's say, outside of her frame, outside of a normal person's frame. And I remember what she had said herself, that she was impressed on how calm I remained during that moment when she was conscious, when she was obviously trying to make me move off center. What I'm trying to say is that when a woman sees, when she feels something positive about you, her nature will actually drive her to test you the next day. Not necessarily the next day, but it could happen the same day. She will test you right after she feels that confidence, because she wants to know how strong that is, how strong your frame is, how strong you are, and how calm you can remain. It's almost as if one thing triggers another. You show calm during an issue, during a drama, during an emotional statement, during stress. You show calmness during stress. She'll admire that about you, and that will actually cause her to feel attracted to you. However, that also means that a test is coming soon. And she's probably gonna continuously test you over and over and over again just to see what you do. Keep that in mind. Most men fail these tests because they live emotionally instead of intentionally. The moment she changes her tone, men panic. The moment she pulls away, men chase. The moment she disagrees, men become defensive. That's not masculine leadership. That's emotional dependency. Consistency means your principles remain stable regardless of temporary emotions. Going to the gym once means nothing. Reading one book means nothing. Being focused for 1 week means nothing. Anybody can perform temporarily, but repetition creates identity. The man who trains consistently becomes disciplined. The man who controls his emotions consistently becomes composed. The man who keeps his word consistently becomes respected. Consistency builds self-respect, and self-respect changes your entire energy. Because when you know you can rely on yourself, your confidence becomes real. Not fake confidence, not loud confidence, not validation-seeking confidence, real confidence. The type that comes from evidence. You wake up when you say you will. You train when you don't feel like it. You handle pressure without collapsing. You stay focused even when distracted. That consistency builds internal power. And internal power changes how the world responds to you. Most men are physically present but emotionally unstable. Their mood controls their decisions. Their feelings control their directions. Their impulses control their behavior. That's weakness. Masculinity is emotional regulation, not emotional suppression. Regulation. A masculine man feels emotions without becoming controlled by them. He can feel anger without losing discipline. He can feel sadness without losing direction. He can even feel pressure without abandoning his purpose. That emotional stability is rare today. Modern culture rewards emotional chaos. It rewards impulsiveness. It rewards victimhood. It rewards emotional reactions, but masculine energy is calm, focused, grounded. The strong man in the room is usually the least reactive. One of the biggest signs of weak masculinity is inconsistency in words and actions. Men today promise everything and follow through on nothing. They say they'll change, they say they'll work harder, they say they'll become disciplined, then they disappear the moment life becomes uncomfortable. How is that consistent? A masculine man understands something important. Your word is your reputation. If you constantly betray your own promises, eventually your mind stops trusting you. And there's nothing worse when you don't trust yourself. Your habits are exactly what are going to dictate how you trust yourself. That destroys confidence from the inside. Because confidence is not built through affirmations. Confidence is built through proof, keeping promises to yourself repeatedly. That's why consistency matters. Every time you follow through, you strengthen your identity. Every time you quit, you weaken it. The man who becomes reliable to himself becomes reliable to the world. Most men are addicted to emotional intensity. They want dramatic transformations, they want motivation, they want overnight success. But masculine growth is boring. It's repetition. Wake up, train, work, learn, build, repeat, repeat, and repeat. Again and again and again. That's how powerful men are created. Not through hype, through standards. Consistency is what separates men who fantasize from men who evolve. Because success is rarely explosive, it's accumulated. Your body, your finances, your discipline, your relationships, your mindset, everything compounds. And every consistent action either builds your future or destroys it, whether you like it or not. If you want to become stronger as a man, stop focusing on temporary motivation. Focus on becoming consistent in discipline, consistent in emotional control, consistent in purpose, consistent within your standards, in your actions. Because masculinity is not what you do occasionally, it's what you repeatedly embody. Anybody can act masculine for a moment, and you know it. Actually can turn on their masculine energy for survival instincts. When there's no masculinity, when there's no masculine energy around, they become masculine. They turn it on so that they could survive. Women are optimized for survival. And if they have to remain for long periods of time in masculine energy, they'll do it. It creates problems. It damages abilities of coming back into the feminine because they're constantly jumping back and forward. But they do it. And it's not real. They don't know how to use it. Anybody can, that's why I'm saying, anybody can act masculine for a moment. Anybody can do it. But the man who remains grounded day after day, under pressure, through adversity, through temptation, through chaos, becomes unshakable. And an unshakable man naturally commands respect. Not because he demands it, but because his consistency proves who he is. Consistency is the core of your masculine frame. This is Mark the Essence. See you on the next video. Thanks for watching.